The video that you are about to watch is an excerpt of the original. After my long efforts in dealing with YouTube's copyright management system, I had to give up. I haven't given up my projects though. And while we cannot publish the entire video here due to the imminent danger of having the channel closed down, you can still enjoy excerpts which we've carefully chosen in order to make this video meaningful, fun, and educational. If you want to watch the complete video, including the sound of the music from the original recording, as well as special edition videos which will never be published here on YouTube due to the same copyright issues, and the Beatles 150 series, as well as other series and courses, you're welcome to visit my Ko-fi or Patreon page. I hope you enjoy this video. Hi everyone. Number 46 in the Beatles 150 series, and Vlad has just informed me that we have left the Help album behind, and this is a single that came out when they were working on their next album, so that's about all I know at the moment. I'll go ahead and read what else there is to find out, and then we'll listen. The genre is officially classified as folk rock. And We Can Work It Out was that song which the group spent nearly 11 hours across 2 recording sessions to perfect. Well, they've been churning out one after the next really rapidly, and so even though 11 hours to most of us seems rather short, 11 hours for them, it's really quite a lot of time, isn't it? When asked in 1972 by Hit Parader magazine who wrote the song, John commented, "Paul, but the middle was mine." Paul corroborates and also embellishes this, saying, "I wrote it as a more up-tempo thing, country and western." That's interesting that he thinks of it as country and western, whereas it's classified as folk rock. "I had the idea, the title, had a couple of verses and the basic idea for it, then I took it to John to finish it off, and we wrote the middle together. Which is nice. Life is very short. There's no time for fussing and fighting, my friend. It was George Harrison's idea to put the middle into waltz time," McCartney remembers. Ah, okay, so it's not just Paul and John, but also George Harrison is contributing some ideas to it, like a German waltz. That came in the session. It was one of the cases of the arrangement being done on the session. The song is an example of Lennon-McCartney collaboration at a depth that happened only rarely after they wrote the hit singles of 1963. Okay, so this is 1965, just a couple years later, but in Beatle years, you know, some people have this idea, how old are you in dog years, or how old is your dog in human years? Well, now we're talking Beatle years. Beatle years is a long time, isn't it? 1963 to 1965. So let's see how it sounds. Try to see it my way. I like that one. It's playful. It has a positive edge to it. And, well, when I say playful, I mean musically playful. I like this throwing in a little bit of the waltz time. And, well, let's go back through and dig in a bit deeper. Try to see it my way. That opening is a bit of a surprise, isn't it? Not because there's anything highly unusual, instrumentally, vocally, anything like that, but because it happens all at once, all of a sudden. No hint of an intro, not even a pickup note for the voice to sing or for an instrument to do. It's just immediately on the beat. And it's not just the guitar, but it's everybody and everything all at once. And it kind of kicks this off to a really energetic start, doesn't it? Pow! Try to see it my way. Almost like someone taking a sheaf of papers and slapping them down on the desk and saying, "Okay, here's the evidence. Now take a look and be persuaded, please, because these are the facts of the case." Try to see it my way. I really like the voice combined with, let's see, I guess this is Paul's voice, isn't it? And it's a bit fuller, a bit softer than, no, I shouldn't say that, a bit smoother than John's voice. And in this particular case, it works incredibly well with these phrases that are kind of staying on one note. Try to see it my way. And he has just a hint of vibrato showing up every once in a while, but it's mostly the rhythm that gives the feeling of vibrato. Try to see it my way. Da 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 bum da 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 bum bum. And staying on one note and just letting the syllables kind of stream through that note builds a sort of energy, doesn't it? I'm going to comment on this just because I was commenting on it. Was it a Beatles or was it a Queen? Oh dear, I can't even remember now. But one of my recent recordings, I was commenting on appoggiatura. And I don't remember which one it was. It was Queen. Okay. This is a Beatles example of their use of appoggiatura, because this leaning note, let's listen to it. It's this one right here. As we are coming from where this note was being used, well, let's see. Hold on. Let's analyze the harmony for a second here. All right. We have a B minor chord here. All right. Which means that here is our first appoggiatura right there on the my way. Let's go a little bit further. We're still pretty much sitting on the B minor chord, aren't we? And then it shifts a little bit. We have a G added in, but then it moves to a C major chord. Okay. So this is a little bit more complicated than just a straightforward use of appoggiatura, in which the appoggiatura technically is always a non-harmony note. Here we have something a little bit different, in that some of these notes that sound or feel a bit like appoggiatura are actually harmony notes. So I'm not going to be really academically strict here, but I'm simply going to point out that these notes that I'm going to circle, I'll erase all of this and I'll just circle a few notes that have a little bit of emphasis because they're rising a bit. Let's consider that they lean onto those notes, but it's a bit more like a lift, a rise, a lift and a lean before coming back down. We have that one. We have this one here, which actually starts here, and another one here. It's a significant feature of this melody. Sometimes he stays on that upper note for a while before returning to the original pitch. But we notice them because it's mostly just a couple notes. I've talked sometimes about how two adjacent notes can be really building tension, or, depending on how they're used, releasing tension. This is kind of like that, only we're not just oscillating back and forth like I've used the example before of Fiorelisa, right? But here it's a bit different because it's no longer a semitone. It's a whole step from D to E. So it's almost a bit of a, I'm going to use the term lift again. It feels as if it's lifting rather than, if I were to change it to an E flat, That's more compressed and intense, right? Now it's try to see it my way. A bit of sunlight, a bit of positivity here. And one of the things that strikes me about the topic of this, the topic is about a conflict in a relationship, isn't it? Whether it's a lover or a friend, there's some conflict going on. There's a disagreement, some tension. This is from one person's viewpoint. And clearly they're not willing to give up their perspective. But they somehow still feel like it can be worked out somehow. If you'll just see it my way, just see it my way. I mean, look, if you see it my way, the whole problem is going to be gone. I mean, come on, it's not that hard. Just look at what I put the papers down here. This is the whole case. I mean, can't you just see? It's so easy. We can resolve it all. So there's this element of positivity and hopefulness. At the same time, a little bit of arrogance, isn't there? But this note going from here to here. And the way, try to see it my way. And then this constant rising and then returning. There is a cheeriness, a hopefulness, a sort of positivity embedded in the musical elements of this piece, which kind of breaks up the feeling of stress and tension. I'm thinking of some of the other John Lennon ones that I've listened to recently, where you feel the strain, you feel the stress, even if it's an upbeat piece of music. Let's see, there was Ticket to Ride. There've been some others too. I'm not calling the names to mind right this second, but the feeling of stress and distress is somehow more palpable. Here, there is such a sunny quality, not just upbeat, but sunny, hopeful, buoyant. I guess that's the arrogance, huh? You just can't accept the fact that perhaps the other person's perspective also is worth considering. I'll try to see it my way. Anyway, but that is one of the features of this melody that I enjoy. And I like the way it's as if it's being sprinkled out or bubbling out of a fountain almost. Try to see it my way. I like that organ-like sound in the background. It sounds a bit like it could be harmonium or something like that. This little bit of a swell, almost an accordion type sound, isn't it? But it adds a nice, again, expanding quality, the way it swells and then diminishes. The risk of knowing that our love may soon be gone. Such a hopeful, oh, we can work it out. Oh, we can work it out. I guess I've commented on this recently too, how several of these little songs have used a very compressed range, vocal range in the verse, and it builds a sort of feeling of pressure and energy. And then when we get to the refrain, not only is it just good sense to give some contrast, but it also gives a sort of release or brightens the moment. And again, we have the same thing here. We've been staying within. Okay, we dropped down to kind of run up to it again, but still mostly those two notes. And now we can work it out. We go up over the top of that that ceiling. We can work it out, and it gives this joyful quality. We can work it out. Nice little flip upwards. Night. Almost like I feel like someone's signing their name, and then they do a little flourish at the end. Night. Don't say goodnight. All right, and this probably is what I'm going to spend most of my time talking about today, because there are some really cool things about it. First of all, when John's voice comes in, it gives a little bit of a reedy quality, which brings out this, I'm going to call it harmonium instrument a bit more, because suddenly the harmony that they're singing kind of tends that direction, sound quality wise. And so it's as if they're blending a bit more. Listen to what's happening there. Life is very short. Interestingly, they're singing thirds and not fourths or fifths. This is perhaps what he was talking about when he said country style, because thirds are so prominent in that style of music. So then, why am I so fascinated with this waltz moment here? Here's where the waltz actually begins, on this big mark right here. Is it a time signature change? Yes, no, maybe. It depends on how you want to notate it. In my score, the way this person, computer, whoever created this score, set it up, it's not notated as a time signature change, which actually makes it easier for me to show you what I'm talking about. We all know that a waltz is in 3 time, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And we hear this transition, and it happens so smoothly. How did they make it shift without throwing us completely off? Because we've been going on 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. A sneaky little trick. Here, where I marked at the beginning, let me remark it here. You see this little 3 under here? These are 3 even notes in the space of 2 beats, 2 of the 4 pattern beats, which means it is one of those slow triplets that I've been tracing along this whole journey. This is the most blatant, in-your-face exploitation of slow triplets that I have seen the Beatles use to date. And it's really cool, because what they did, they gave us this waltz time, which could easily be a time signature change. I mean, you could simply have 3/4 written right in here at the bar line, and we would have a time signature change. But that brings up another question. What size is the beat supposed to be? We've been going along at 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. That is the pace of our underlying beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if they had not turned this into triplets and simply done what I did here, putting a 3/4 time signature change, then those 3 beats of the waltz would have to follow the same pace. 1, 2, 3, 4 would become same speed. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Listen. Life is very short. And then for fussing and fighting, it's pedantic, it's boring, it sounds like we are in peasant boots, right? It sounds like a stomp rather than a waltz. So what they've done is they have given us a 3/4 time, because truly it is 3/4 for a couple bars, but it's a 3/4 time that is quicker paced than everything surrounding it. Interestingly, because of the whole dynamic of everything, when they return to the 4/4 beat size, it sounds faster rather than slower. It's such a funny mix of effects that happens simply by exploiting this slow triplet feel. Now, you might be wondering, you said the 3/4 is faster, but now you're calling it a slow triplet. What do I mean by that? Well, let's see if I can make it an easy explanation here. So, we have in the bar 4 beats, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple. Many times when you have a triplet, the triplet fills 1 beat. So you would have 3 notes in the space of 1 beat. And this is the amount of time it would fill from beat 1 to beat 2 or beat 2 to beat 3. You see, in this case, it is filling from beat 3 through beat 4 all the way to the next downbeat. That means this triplet is filling the space of 2 beats, which is why we sometimes refer to it colloquially as slow triplet, although it's simply a triplet. But the reason I call it slow triplet is because I noticed that this is the kind of spreading across a couple beats that the Beatles have enjoyed doing up through this point. And as you know, I noticed it first on Strawberry Fields Forever. Again, that slow spreading it out a bit. Funny how doing this kind of spread out triplet across 2 beats suddenly makes it, if we change the time signature, means that the beats are happening a little bit faster. Why? Because I only have 2 beats here. And the nature of a triplet is to compress 3 beats into the space of 2. And that's exactly what we have. 1, 2, 3. These are the triplets down here. And if I draw the big beats up here, you can see the contrast. If I do it on the harp, maybe you'll get to hear a little bit of it. So, let's say that I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Or I could say 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. But I'm just going to count half a bar since this triplet happens in half a bar. And then on top of that, I'll have this triplet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the kind of feel we have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You hear my right hand is happening faster than the left hand. I have 1, 2, 3. But if I start counting the left hand, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I have to make my speech match my left hand. It's a bit of a multitasking game because I'm doing different timings and all. But that is the exciting thing that's happening here. Now back to my first question that I asked. How did they make this happen so incredibly smoothly and easily? Such a drastic upset of the apple cart when it comes to beats and pulse patterns and tempo and everything here. Quite simply by doing a real triplet here over the standard 4/4 time as our preparation. This is what we hear. And there's no time. I want to make sure you understand. I'm not trying to belabor the point too much, but I want to make sure you understand, why does it sound slower with 3 and faster with the 4? Partly it's because what Ringo is doing with his drums. Because when he's in 4, he's dividing the 4s, ding, 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 and we hear a lot of activity. When he gets to the 3, we simply hear 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that changes the feel of it. Remember also This 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is 3 beats. But as a waltz, we feel it kind of as one. 1, ch, ch, 1, ch, ch, 1, ch, ch. Whereas in the 4 time, and if we have that, 1, ch, ch, 1, ch, ch. It means we only hear 2 of the ones in the space of 4 beats. So all of this means we feel this slower, whereas the beats are actually going faster. Really interesting, isn't it? You once again. As I'm thinking about the topic here and the music, probably they didn't think this far into it. It sounds more like it was a fun idea that Harrison brought to the table. Let's throw in a waltz time here and make it work that way. But it takes 2. Well, the saying is it takes 2 to tango, but it takes 2 to waltz as well. And the idea of this waltz being placed in the context of let's work this out and let's stop wasting our time fighting. Let's embrace and let's waltz instead. It really is appropriate, isn't it? You once again. There's that little tail, right? Long. I feel like I should be writing this out and then say long. There's a chance that we might fall apart before too long. Speaking of, what is that? It's a little melisma, isn't it? And I've talked about the melismas before. Usually they're falling downwards. This one is simply inverted. It's rising upwards and gives a kind of a feeling of not terribly serious, doesn't it? Just a little bit flippant, which means, again, looking at the subject matter, is this not such a big deal? This person thinks it's not such a big deal, except that clearly it's a big deal because it's causing a conflict. But still, it's like, it's not a big deal. Just look at it my way and we'll go on and be happy. There's a chance that we might fall apart before too long. And we end with the waltz.
So the story behind the song is that Jane Asher, remember, she's at that time Paul's girlfriend, and they were living together up in that
Garrett. Okay.
Right? She decides to go back to acting because she was an actress, but that meant that she had to leave London.
Okay.
And he was trying to persuade her, but she just wanted to follow her career, and eventually they broke. And Paul was very distressed because of it, and mainly because, of course, he loved her and so on, but also her mother. He got attached to her mother because his mother was dead.
I see.
And Jane's mother was like
kind of a mother figure.
Yeah. So it was all
interesting.
It was all very, very hot there.
Right. So it's really coming from the heart here. Well, it's a fun song. In spite of the topic, it's a fun song, and fascinating to see how they're really getting bold with the exploitation of some of these features that I've been looking along the way and tracing how they develop. Now suddenly somebody says, we've done this before in small doses. Let's go big with it.
Long way from She Loves You. Yeah, won't you say?
Yeah.
In Beatles years.
In Beatles years. Yeah. Well, as I said, that little timing, rhythmic figure change in this song is one of the things that I just feel like I want to focus on because it's so unique to this song up to this point. And I have one other comment to make, and that is, yes, this is incredibly together. Sounds well rehearsed. It's not rough and ragged on the edges, and for a transition like that, I bet it took a little bit of time for them to practice it. I pointed out musically how the transition works so smoothly. But would they have been able to pull this off like this if they hadn't had all this experience in the past of slipping in these little triplet moments in the music? Probably not. I see that what they did banking on their strengths and leaning into their strengths, which is, we can put a triplet here. If we put this triplet here, then it enables us to shift to something else, and we're all together with it. Of course, I also have to credit Ringo for really holding things together in that transition and bouncing back and forth, because the ability to do that without changing tempo in the slightest, it takes a lot of skill and development and really solid rhythmic sense. So great job. Great work by all of them. And it came out sounding amazing. It really did. The other thing the last thing I wanted to mention is, why does it sound so positive even when reading the lyrics? Because if I read the verses, it's really quite down. As Vlad was saying, this comes from the heart. Try to see it my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can't go on? While you see it your way, run the risk of knowing that our love may not last long. It's the arrogance. It's the inability to see the other side of the story, at the same time believing that if you'll just see my side of the story, it'll all be fine. It's great because mine makes perfect sense. It works well. But do you feel the danger that the relationship is in? If this doesn't get solved, the whole thing is going to fall apart. But it sounds so positive. Why? Even reading the lyrics, if I'm just scanning through, what do I see on the screen in front of me? We can work it out. 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 It's that hope, that insistence. We can work it out. That lightens even the lyrical content and brings it to the point where we do feel like there is reason to hope. We just have to get this person here, not the other one, this one, to see the other side of the story. Pity it didn't happen in real life, huh? But it might be an inspiration for it to happen in real life for some of us, right? What a fun listen. That is the Beatles' We Can Work It Out. And let's see what comes next. I'll see you soon.